Hello, my name is Nadia Hickson and I'm a trustee and volunteer for AIMS, the Association for Improvements in the Maternity Services. Since the 1960s, AIMS has campaigned tirelessly for improvements to the UK's maternity services, as well as supporting women and pregnant people, their families and others who support them, both directly through our helpline and by sharing information with our books, journal and website resources. AIMS is a charity, led and run by volunteers. We do not receive any funding or benefit from being linked with any commercial enterprise. This is to ensure that AIMS is and is seen to be wholly independent of any third parties, in order to preserve our reputation for providing impartial information. Our vision is for a future where every family has a positive maternity experience, where they feel informed, heard and respected. And that's a theme you'll hear repeatedly in this video. Our mission statement says, we support all maternity service users to navigate the system as it exists and campaign for a system that truly meets the needs of all. And by all, we mean not only all those that use the maternity services, but also their partners, families, midwives, doctors, doulas, antenatal educators, and society as a whole. We are particularly keen to engage with student midwives. So in this video, you'll hear from some of our volunteers about the work they do and the ways in which AIMS can support you and your clients. So now I'm going to hand you over to Kath Revel to tell you a bit more about our helpline.
Hello, I'm Kath Revel and I'm a volunteer on the AIMS helpline. We offer one-to-one support for all maternity service users, so that's mainly pregnant people and their families, but also doulas, midwives and student midwives. The kinds of issues that people contact us about are things like home births being suspended due to staff shortages, people feeling coerced into accepting procedures such as induction, risks being inflated, and people being threatened with referral to children's services. People reach out to us when they feel unheard or disrespected or ignored. A common thread runs through many of the stories, and this is the lack of informed consent. So, since the Montgomery ruling of 2015, the law around informed consent is very clear. It can only legally be gained when people are free to consider all care options and are assured that their decisions will be supported. And yet, the problem is still widespread. Here are a couple of examples of the kinds of stories that we hear. Marie wanted to have a home vaginal birth after caesarean, but was told that there was a huge risk of scar rupture. Overinflating a risk to persuade someone to conform to a hospital protocol is coercion and is therefore illegal. We suggested Marie contact the consultant midwife for individualised care, and we provided her with research to show the risk of scar rupture in terms of numbers out of 1,000. So then she could compare the risk for women who've had a previous caesarean with those who have not. She made her choice and was fully supported to have a home birth after caesarean. Emma was planning a home birth. She'd been diagnosed with gestational diabetes, but this was well controlled. After careful research, Emma decided that uninterrupted skin-to-skin contact with her baby after the birth was the safest way to stabilise the baby's blood glucose levels. However, the paediatric team insisted that they had to follow the guidelines, and they even threatened her with a court order unless she bring her baby in to the hospital for tests after the birth. This is how it left her feeling. It's also stressful, and we are considering just giving in and going for the tests in order to avoid exposing ourselves and our baby to so much stress. But it seems so wrong that we're being forced in this way. We reassured her that guidelines are not laws and that the Nursing and Midwifery Council Code states that all staff have a duty to respect, support and document a person's right to accept or refuse care and treatment. In the end, they came to a compromise and were able to have the baby tested at home after the birth. Undue pressure can be as subtle as something small, like a midwife or doctor rolling their eyes. Or it can be as blatant as being threatened with withdrawing care. It's always distressing for parents, even when the midwife or doctor is well-intentioned. So, where does this leave you as a student midwife? How do you avoid becoming part of a system that routinely disregards informed consent? And how do you support people in these kinds of situations? So here are some pointers to keep in mind. Listen to the woman. Take time to make sure you've heard correctly. People who feel they've been heard and respected feel so much better about their care and will remember your kindness long into the future. Find the evidence to support the recommendations you're making, particularly in terms of numbers out of 1,000. So AIMS can help you find this. If you find yourself in a situation where a procedure is about to be performed without proper consent, you can use your status as a student midwife to shield you from unwelcome repercussions. You can say something like, I'm only a student midwife, but I don't understand why you're doing that, as the woman hasn't fully consented to it. And now, here are some quotes from people who've been helped by the AIMS helpline. Sarah said, "Thank you again for spending so much time talking with me yesterday. I came off the phone feeling like a huge weight had been lifted." Jazz, "I had the appointment and was able to assert myself with the facts. Thanks for all your help. It made me feel less alone." And this from Debbie, "I came away from our conversation feeling empowered and determined." So please feel free to reach out to us on the AIMS helpline if you need support or if you've witnessed something that's distressing, or if you need information or if you need to find evidence-based research. And please also recommend us to your clients. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm a mother, doula, and volunteer for the Association for Improvement of Maternity Services here in the UK. I decided to join AIMS as a volunteer after I gave birth to my first child and accessed their services, where I found very puzzled by the way how my birth experience went, and AIMS helped me to find a resolution and talk to my care provider in my trust how to understand what happened and how to move forward and prepare for my next birth. So when I gave birth to my second child, I contacted AIMS just before during my pregnancy to make sure that I understood also not just the resolution for birth, but also in regards to my birth rights, what I was allowed. Besides that, the physiology of birth and any other information that was relevant to my birth preferences and care plan. AIMS has several resources that can support you, not just written, but also we have on our website the helpline via telephone and email here, always to you, available to you. And I found that for me was really crucial in the very positive outcome of the birth of my second child, where I gave birth at home in a very, very calm environment. So that's why I'm here, to support you to also get the outcome that you need and deserve and want.
Hello, my name is Leslie Altick and I am an AIMS volunteer working with the Birth Information Page team. You might have come across our pages in the course of your studies, and if you have, that's fantastic. What the team does is essentially we manage or curate the birth info pages that are available on the website, as well as commissioning and drafting new pages. Volunteers in the team come from different backgrounds. Some are midwives, some are birth workers, such as doulas or hypnobirth teachers. Some are parents, but we're all passionate about ensuring expectant parents are able to access quality, evidence-based and unbiased information. Pages cover a variety of topics that span the continuum of pregnancy, birth, postnatal and infant feeding. They're written by volunteer authors, usually that's somebody that specialises or has an interest in that topic or field. They're generally written or geared towards women and pregnant people. However, many birth workers and midwives and other maternity professionals find that they can be really useful for supporting their own practice as well as for signposting clients too. The process of getting a draft page into its completed form on the website is a stepwise process. Once a page is drafted, it's peer-reviewed by at least 2 volunteers, one looking at it from an evidence research-based perspective and another looking at it from a layperson's perspective, and then that's done before it's passed on to trustees for approval. And the reason that is done is to make sure that not only is it meeting AIMS's values and ethos, but that it is accessible and understandable to the general public, while presenting and including all of the relevant and evidence, the relevant and available evidence and research in an unbiased and non-judgmental way. And as Nadia said at the beginning, AIMS doesn't receive any corporate sponsorships, so the information and support that is offered is completely unbiased. Pages are updated on a regular basis, and usually this is every 2 years. However, that can be sooner if research is published. We also work closely with the helpline team to find out what recurrent questions are coming up from the people that are contacting them. And that is just to make sure, it helps us to prioritize what page to draft so that our website is current and it's providing the information that expectant parents need. Pregnancy, birth and maternity services can be and feel really daunting for people, especially if they're pregnant for the first time. So not only do we include pages on specific topics such as induction of labour or vaginal examinations or monitoring your baby's heart rate in labour, we also include pages that can support people as they're navigating their way on their journey through the system. And these include who's who in maternity care, choosing your place of birth, and how to make decisions about your maternity care. Our main message to student midwives is to know that women and pregnant people have a right to be given unbiased evidence-based information, and then supported to make the decision that feels right for them. The birth information pages are then really a valuable resource, not only for expectant parents on their journey, but for yourselves through your studies, and then once you go into practice, for supporting your own practice, as well as the families that you are caring for.
Hi, my name is Bailey and I'm a privately practicing midwife here in the UK at Your Private Midwife. I have been an NHS midwife for almost a decade and have used AIMS as a resource for most of my career. Now I'm happy to be a volunteer with them, and I'm working alongside the birth team to help create information that is up to date and evidence-based that allows families to access information really easily. I've used the resources myself with the clients that I work with simply because they are accessible, they are curated in a way that allows women to understand them in simple language that is up to date, knowledgeable and evidence-based. And for that reason, I'm really excited to be a part of the AIMS team.
Hello, my name's Alex Smith, and I help edit the AIMS journal, and I would like to share with you 7 great reasons why you might enjoy reading the AIMS journal. And the first one is that it's free. The AIMS journal is a quarterly online publication that's freely accessible to all. You don't have to be a member to access it, but reading the journal you may want to become a member. We do hope so. The second reason is that it's highly regarded. It's an excellent source of information and support, and we hear that parents, doulas and midwives all enjoy reading it. And that's because they find it interesting. It spearheads discussions about change and development in the maternity services, and if, like us, you're interested in that sort of thing, and of course you are as student midwives, those discussions are always fascinating. It's also useful, especially for student midwives. The range of articles provides a commentary on the maternity services that comes from a variety of perspectives, making the journal a useful resource for academic and reflective writing. And that resource is reliable. Every article is peer-reviewed and approved by the AIMS trustees, making the journal a reliable point of reference for you as students. Everything is evidence-based, it's been checked and double-checked, so it's a sort of shortcut for you, which can be very helpful. It's also enlightening. I've been working with parents for nearly 50 years, and the AIMS journal has always been a go-to journal for me because it invariably opens my eyes. It's so helpful to be able to see things from different points of view and to see things in a way that you've never seen them before. And that's so motivating and helpful in your development, but also helpful in being able to understand other people and where they're coming from. So I've always found the journal enlightening, and we know you will too. Particularly enlightening to student midwives, maybe, are the accounts, personal accounts from parents. We don't always hear about how parents feel after the birth, after they've got home. But parents writing in the journal share those feelings. And I would just like to read 2 short extracts from one woman's story that was in a recent journal. She writes, "They kept saying that I didn't need to push as I was only 7 centimetres. I said again and again that I wasn't controlling this, but again and again they told me to stop. The pain caused by trying to force your body not to push was so horrible. I thought I was going to die, yet they just made me feel I didn't have a clue what I was doing. They didn't listen to me, and I found that very hard." Shortly after that point, she persuaded a midwife to check her again, and the baby was just sitting there waiting to come out. She had the baby at 4:15, and she writes, "But I wasn't cleaned up. I kept asking if I could have a shower, but I needed help because of my condition and they were busy. I was in an awful lot of mess. It was all the way up my back, blood and everything. I didn't have a shower until 9:30 at night. It was very embarrassing when my mum and dad came because I had to try and hide all the mess." So there were 2 beautiful examples of how I know you wouldn't want to be as midwives. In the first one, the midwives didn't listen to her. And we know when we hear about all of the inquiries into maternity care that not being listened to is central to so many of those stories. And in the second one, the woman's basic human needs weren't met. And what a memory for her to look back on when she remembers that birth story. But reading those stories can be very inspiring because they help you to decide how you want to be as a midwife. And another woman writing in the same journal who'd had a very upsetting first birth had an amazing second pregnancy story to share, because this time she was being looked after by midwives who were fantastic, the sort of midwives you're going to be. She says the birth at home team and the fantastic new consultant were amazing because they both fully supported her choices. And it's in respecting and supporting women's decisions that a relationship of trust, of mutual trust, is created, and that makes it better for everyone. So this is my message to midwives, and I always grab every opportunity of sharing this. Every person's birth story will be told for the rest of their life and beyond. It'll be told year on year, and it will help shape the births of the grandchildren and of their children. In each story, the midwife, that's you, plays a central role, and the wonderful thing is you get to decide how you'll be portrayed. You get to write your own script. How would you want to feature in those stories? And those are the 7 great reasons that student midwives will enjoy reading the AIMS journal. And just to return us to the first one, it's free.
Hello, my name is Florence. I'm a retired midwife, and I currently work as a research fellow with an International Maternity Alliance, seeking to promote midwifery research. When I was invited to write for AIMS, I was very excited because I had recently completed my PhD and I wanted to share my findings.
Hi, my name is Anne Glover and I'm here to show you how you can get involved in AIMS campaign work. Other teams within AIMS work to support the individual, but the campaigns team works to make maternity services better for all. We do this by gathering information on current issues experienced by those using maternity services, specifically from the helpline team, and also from involvement in various organisations across the country, as you can see from this slide, as well as being stakeholders in NHS England and the Charities and Service Users Maternity Continuity Network. We have 4 specific campaigns that we'd love for you to get involved in: physiology-informed maternity services, continuity of care, the implementation of the bed of births, and equity. So these 4 campaigns are the backbone of what we are campaigning and lobbying for, and they drive the rest of our agenda. Over the years, AIMS has developed a reputation for having a position on a wide range of maternity improvement related issues, and we have our own position papers available on the website. Our volunteers use these position papers to raise awareness of the topics and to share with policymakers and other stakeholders involved in the improvement in the maternity services. And let me tell you about one thing I'm particularly proud of: how AIMS campaigning has put the service user at the heart of the current NICE guidelines on induced labour. It now reads, recognise that women can decide to proceed with delay, decline or stop an induction, respect the woman's decision even if healthcare professionals disagree with it, and do not allow personal views to influence the care they are given. The impact of this is massive, as women are empowered to be involved in decision making about their own birthing journey and not feel that they have no choice but to do what they're told. But guidelines mean very little on their own, and now we need you, student midwives, to put this into practice. I'd like to take our Physiology Informed Maternity Services campaign as an example to show how you can support rather than disrupt the normal physiological processes of labour and birth by looking at the 3 case studies on the slides. So, optimal cord clamping. AIMS supports midwife Amanda Burley's campaign for optimal cord clamping, Wait for White. Optimal cord clamping is a key part of physiological birth, providing a newborn baby with a full blood volume, and is important in helping the transition to life outside the womb. And AIMS is also proud to showcase the work of Molly O'Brien, who I'm sure you've all heard about, who teaches biomechanics for birth, including techniques to diagnose and rectify labour dystocia, which Molly first developed when working as an NHS midwife over 20 years. Molly believes that ideally these techniques should be available to all women and birthing people to utilise for themselves. And another case study that we use is family-centred caesarean birth, which generally refers to one or all of the following: a slow physiological birth of the baby, optimal cord clamping, and delivery into skin to skin. So we encourage you to develop a vision of physiology-informed maternity services. Would you like to be involved in or even feature in one of our case studies? How has an improved understanding of pregnancy and birth physiology improved the maternity services where you work? Everyone in maternity services can help make this campaign a success. If you come across anything relevant to our campaign, please let us know. Spread the word about our campaign, share our social media, and refer to our website for further information.
I hope you found that brief overview of AIMS useful. There are a couple of other things that I'd like to mention. Firstly, our AIMS Guide series of books. These provide essential evidence-based information for women and birthing people and for anyone who supports them. Then there is our programme of interactive online workshops. These cover topics such as rights in pregnancy, the foundation stones for supporting the physiological processes, induction of labour, and resolution after birth. We offer 2 free places for student midwives on each of these, and reduced prices for anyone else who can't afford the full amount. So please get in touch if you're interested. To find out about workshops, the latest journal, new publications, etc., please follow us on social media or sign up to our mailing list. You can find details of how to do that on our website, www.aims.org.uk. Or if you like what AIMS does, please support us by becoming a member. Membership subscriptions are a vital source of funding for the charity. And of course, we'd also welcome any of you who'd like to volunteer for AIMS. We'd also be really grateful if you could spread the word about what AIMS offers to your colleagues and clients. Like and share our social media posts, share our journal articles and other resources, and order our free leaflets from the AIMS shop. Thank you for listening.